story cubes, blurt, and guess who?
Thank you, LJ. Annie?
Well, I don't know how to follow that up. That was really great, LJ. I would just like to reiterate what LJ said and normalize the use of the device as much as possible. So it should be used all day, every day, not just in school, not just at home, but everywhere you go. When I've had students who did not want to use it, and they saw that that was the norm in the classroom, they saw the icons everywhere. They saw them labeled around the room. They saw them in my presentations that I was presenting. They saw me modeling it. So if they said something, I might reiterate that with my device and model how to say that. So I think as much as you can normalize it, that's when you're going to see the spontaneous language.
Thank you. So the next question we have will go to Brandy, Caitlin Davies, and Shavina. And this question is, what is a success story that you would like to share with this group?
I can start since I was first in the list, I'll kick us off. And I think I loved what you said, LJ, about minimizing frustration and just all access to communication. And I think with Wayne, he began his AAC journey in the pre-K program. It was very similar to what LJ described. We had lots of picture symbols. We actually had a two-touch kind of talkboard. A lot of it really just intending to help Wayne understand the amount of power that there is in communication, to be able to demonstrate that he had the ability to have agency over his choices, to tell us how he felt. And it's something that doesn't come naturally for Wayne. So we have to work a lot on that. And what we notice is that when he doesn't feel like he has the ability to communicate in those ways, we get a lot of behavior challenges that are very disruptive at home, and they're disruptive in the classroom. And a lot of times it's because he's upset about something or he wants something and he can't find the words to use that. So we've been working for the past few years on really trying to help Wayne communicate about how he's feeling and to find the language for how he's feeling. He does really well labeling what he wants. So right now, I'm pretty sure he's going to come over and ask me for whales on the TV, but getting him to say, I'm happy, or I'm upset, or that makes me feel good. Octopuses? Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay. Thank you. Wait, please. Wait, please. 1 minute. And the other day, it was actually a couple weeks ago, we were at a community garden plot that we have, and octopus is coming up. Yep, got it. We were at a community garden plot that I have, and there was a big truck doing construction work. And Wayne desperately wanted to be on the truck, in the truck, right? He wanted to be on there helping them do that work. And he couldn't go because that was not safe. And he laid down, and we had a major tantrum. And I said to Wayne, you can't go. I can see that you're upset. Can you tell me how you feel? And he said frustrated. And it was just a huge communication breakthrough for us. And the access, there are signs for all of that, similar to what LJ described. Wayne has adaptive sign language. He does not have strong fine motor skills. And being able to have access to a device that lets him articulate that nuanced feeling of frustration, which is different than anger. It's different than sadness. It is like, I'm frustrated. I want to get on that truck. It was just a really powerful moment, and really, creates hope for our family too, about the ability to kind of tap into those feelings. And I'm listening. I'm going to go turn on the octopus.
Thanks, Brandy. Caitlin, I think you were, yes, you were next on that one.
Sure. So one thing I wanted to highlight is a student who I'm working with right now, who is really a testament to just the power of access. And one thing that I have kind of discovered is it can be sometimes easier to find buy-in for our students who have no verbal speech when it comes to AAC, and a little bit harder when we need AAC for our augmentative users. So I had a student who came to me at 17, and he spoke verbally, but very little of that verbal speech was functional. He could greet and he would seek attention, but his language was not understandable. He could not comment on what he was doing. He could maybe make some highly preferred requests, but not many that was very discernible. And so we got him a device at the end of last year, and he did not really begin using it until this year. And the transformation that he had as both a device user and a verbal user, just as a general communicator, was frankly beyond my wildest dreams. Like we did good work with the student, and I expected some progress, but even considering the level of work that we did, it was really about the power of access. He had been ready to communicate, and just being given that tool, using some of the best practices that we have been trying to use, he is flourishing in all of his communication intents. So not only are we making very clear requests, this week he started to put together 3-word requests on his communication device. And those of us who have worked with AAC users know making that progress in a year of an AAC device is pretty fantastic. He's commenting. He came in with no pre-literacy skills either. And this week he has started identifying sight words in text, and he was able to put a 3-word sentence together today. So just really, really cool things. It's the power of access and buy-in, and really getting the whole team to buy into valuing and the meaningfulness of both verbal and AAC and gestural use, and that all of that total communication approach really is able to bring out the authentic self of this child. And he's saying cool things with his device. He came back from piano class the other day and says on his device, "I play piano." And then he went to get breakfast yesterday and said orally to me, "I'll come back." So we're saying just very cool things, and it's because he has access. So that's one of the big, like, specific highlights. The other thing that I have found to be that's been a really big success for me is I've been doing a lot of work personally on learning comprehensive literacy for AAC users, and it's new learning. So this is just kind of echoing what Shavina and Belinda have been saying about learning. And Annie was saying it too, that even those of us who have worked with AAC users for a while, the way we do it now is very different than the way we did it 3 or 5 or 7 years ago. There's more research. You only know what you know. So it's really been very cool for me as a learner to frankly take a professional development in the summer, implement the strategies I learned, and then see that they work, because that doesn't always happen in our career, to be honest. So it's been really thrilling to see some of these literacy strategies that the county's been kind of having us gravitate towards, and seeing them actually work in kids. So that's been kind of a more general success story that I've seen in my class.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Shavina.
Me.
Oh, I think you're on mute.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, now I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Caitlin, thank you for that. I am looking forward to finding more of those opportunities. We didn't get a chance to do much of that this year, but it's still something I'm really interested to learn about, so that if that ever is on my plate again, that I have another student who has an AAC device, I actually have the knowledge this time. So thank you for sharing that. A success story. I think Forte is here, or I saw Mom and Dad, they're in the car, they're driving, but Forte is in my class, and he has been able to use his device to communicate. In kindergarten, we talk a lot and we say a lot of things loudly, and we need like whole class participation. He has been using his device to spell words, and that has just been so cool, because a lot of times they're writing and he can't actually write those, but he can tell us the letters of the sounds that we give him. And that means he gets to participate with everybody. And that's been so cool to see him actually become such an integral part of our class and be able to find his voice in the class as well.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Shavina. So many things coming out of here, and I'm just kind of like, LJ, I loved what you said about code switching and the importance of being able to code switch, because people who are verbal code switch all the time. I mean, I know that I speak very differently at home than I do when I'm at work. And I love that, Caitlin, you talked about honoring the authentic, what is the word you said? You said the authenticness of communication. So just, of the human being. So if I want to say something, I say it. If I want to sign it, I sign it. If I want to use a device, I use the device. And so honoring how the person wants to communicate when they want to communicate. I think that's awesome. And then it's also awesome to hear that Forte is using that spelling feature on his communication device in order to communicate. And so just honoring everyone in the way they choose to communicate. The next question goes to LJ, Shavina, and I'm sorry, it goes to LJ, Annie, and Belinda. And the question says, what is a challenge you're still working on overcoming? So we will go in order.
I'm going to start off my answer with a quote from Bob Williams. If you do not know who I'm talking about, go Google him. He is an ADA advocate and a mentor to AAC users. When I had a conversation with him back in 2020, he said, spelling and literacy are crucial. Focus your efforts there. Being able to self-advocate for ourselves increases our odds of fighting for our rightful place in our communities. Writing helps you fight. Right then, my family and I, along with my speech therapist, prioritize spelling and the underlying phonological awareness skills to focus on. This has always been an area that is difficult for me. When I was in elementary school, so much was focused on me learning my AAC system that I missed the instruction and I could not catch up to the teachers moving through their curriculum. I participated in a research study for a PhD student's thesis, and the outcome found that I struggled with morphology, phonological awareness, some syntax, and sound symbol association. Even 7 years later, and I'm still working on strengthening my awareness of word structure and my ability to rework word structure. Learning LS provides a library of books and textbooks in an audiobook format. Text is highlighted as it is read aloud. When I was little, I used reading it to Z, where books can be read on digital devices. Word prediction on my AAC system has been a big help. But when I don't know how to spell something, and I don't know how to locate it on my device, I cannot use the word finder feature. In conclusion, it takes me much longer to write something than it would my peers. I can navigate my language system well, but my classmates still outpace me.
Thank you for sharing that, LJ. Annie?
So I have two main challenges that I think are kind of universal across the board. Number one is getting everyone to buy into this program because it's not what we instinctively thought for so many years. And myself, when I was approached by Marby and Lauren 7 years ago to start doing this, I didn't understand. I fought them. I said, I don't know, this isn't going to work. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't make sense. So it's it's taking the time to actually learn the program and understand and get everyone to buy in, that it's not just this one student, it's not just the special ed teacher, it's not just the one-on-one who's responsible for this, it's everyone. So I think we have a really great program at APS that supports this. I know Marby and Lauren are really good in fighting for this. And I want to thank also Kelly and Heather, because you guys are advocates for us with the higher ups that this is important. And my other challenge would be getting devices in everyone's hands. Like research shows that the most progress is made when it's normalized and aided language simulation happens. And that's hard to do if you don't have a device yourself. I myself don't like taking a device from someone else because that's their voice. So it's getting a device in everyone's hand. If in my perfect world, everybody would have one, all the gen ed teachers, all the students, but we don't live in that world. So it's just getting as many devices out as we possibly can.
Thank you for that perspective, Annie. Belinda?
I kind of two that LJ and Annie already said. Like, one is like learning how to use the program. It took a little while before I had to ask a lot of different people before I was able to finally get it on my iPad and on my computer. And then once I got access to those things, things were moving much faster because I was able to put the icons into the slides. I was able to, have my own device, so I wasn't taking his voice and we weren't sharing the device. And it was also a lot better because then I could put it up on the smart board and the kids could use the device too to talk to him. So that was kind of normalizing it. And what LJ said about like, it takes him longer to say something than it does other kids. First graders are very impulsive and they talk really fast and they like to say lots of things and they want to tell you it right now. And so being able to create a classroom culture where we need to pause so that this person has chance to say what they need to say, and teaching wait time. And I think like this morning we were sitting there in a circle and we're doing our would you rather, and I understand that the device, like, would you rather be in a big city or a big farm? And city and farm are not on the same screen. He has to go. And one of the kids start to get a little fidgety, and their other one said, it takes him a little bit longer, but we got to wait. And so like, they're starting to remind each other, and like, it also doesn't just work for this student, it's also helpful for all the other students who need a little bit more wait time for some reason. So being able to create that classroom culture of, we need to wait so that other people has a chance to take a turn. And we're working on it still, but we're getting pretty good at it. So, and I think my new challenge is being able to find, I just learned today how to put the own words in there. So now we're able to put the vocabulary words that we're using in school, like in our classroom use, into the device. So that way he's able to participate in more of the academic conversations and not just the social conversations. Because I don't want him to say when he's 14, I wasn't able to keep up with the curriculum. So I'm trying to keep him right where we are.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was really powerful. LJ, I loved, I really appreciate you sharing about your challenges with spelling and something still working on. And that you're using some other assistive technologies to support that. You're using Learning Ally and Reading A to Z and word prediction. So it's great that we have some tools out there that students can use, but it's also, amazing that you're still working on it and practicing it and continuing to work on your challenges, which is so important. I also heard Annie talking about buy-in. So, that buy-in of the system, and in the beginning, a couple of years ago, it was a big mindset change. It was how devices were set up was very different when we shifted to core vocabulary, and it was kind of a different way of thinking. But when you're working with it for a while, you see that it does make a lot of sense. And, you know, like Caitlin and Annie, like you said, you've seen what it can do for your students when they have access to that. So thank you for sharing that. And, you know, as a school division with supports like assistive technology and our amazing administrators, we're still continuing to work on that overall buy-in so that it just keeps getting better and better. Belinda, kind of the same, like having access to the technology, having your modeling device, having the capability to put those screenshots into your lesson plans and into your lesson slides to make it accessible for everyone. And you kind of alluded to that universal design of how wait time is something that all of our kids benefit from. You know, we're in such a rush all the time, go, go, go. But having everyone have an opportunity to think about what they want to say and being a good communication partner for when somebody else has a turn to speak. So all really important things. So thank you for sharing those points. Our next question, this will go to Belinda again, Brandy and Caitlin. What are some resources within APS that have helped you in your AAC journey along the way?
I would have to say the AAC implementation coaches. I mean, you guys saved me. I knew I wasn't doing what I needed to do, and I didn't know how to go further. And I'm very glad that you guys came in and was able to get me access to the device, and you were able to show me some ideas and get me access to some training. And I felt like we moved so much faster from that point in time. So I really appreciate that. I was also saying the para educator that works with my student has also been a great resource. I speak to him before a lesson and tell him what kind of discussion questions I'm going to ask so that he can help my student find the right words and get to those places. We talk about different, like this past week, we're talking about longer and shorter and measurement words. And so he was able to create buttons all in one location for him so that he would be able to follow along with the classroom conversations. And so that's been really helpful. I don't think I would have been able to do it without him either. So those are my two big helps.
Thank you.
And I'll jump in and I'll share. And I've loved kind of listening to this conversation and being a parent that's been part of this for about 9 to 10 years now, seeing even the differences in how the technology and the approach to literacy and communication has changed in our experience has been really interesting. And I think a turning point for us and a resource through APS, you know, a lot of the time we would just get devices sent home. And Wayne didn't really know how to use them yet. And we had no idea what we were doing. And we had for a while, you know, we had PECs, and then we had this, then we had that. And then LAMP came home, and being structured around core vocabulary, that was something we had never been exposed to. And we were just really overwhelmed. And we had such a great relationship with Wayne's functional life skills team at Barrett. And we were able to be really honest, like, we're not doing, I don't think we're supposed to be doing at home because we're just really overwhelmed. And his teacher suggested that we go to the MinSpeak Academy in Pittsburgh, and that she really wanted to go to, and his speech language pathologist wanted to go as well. So we went as a parent teacher team to the 3-day kind of intensive training. And it was really game changing because we were able to, as parents, understand the really just kind of like the language system, and that it is a language system and how that works, because it wasn't always making sense to us. And then we also, I think, really formed a team bond with the staff, and that allowed us to really just have this fluid dynamic back and forth between what was happening at school, what was happening at home, and being able to have open dialogue, I think, about what was working and what's not working and where we're getting stuck and how can we kind of support each other in that process. And then the other piece of that, we went into the pandemic, and Wayne needs a lot of reinforcement when building skills, learning skills, a lot of reinforcement for using communication. And when we all went home for COVID, that was really hard. And Wayne really had some regression in terms of his interest in communicating, his desire to use, devices and things of that nature. And we felt disconnected too. And that was when there was the first virtual trial of the parent project core lessons. And we signed right up. And again, it was just like so much really helpful connection. I feel like I now know the speech language pathology team, even though I know you guys a little bit, but like, I feel like I can reach out when I have a problem or a question or an issue. And there was so much about just the philosophy of this that we're not experts in and that we're learning. It was just so helpful. So I think any opportunity that parents have to either ask and know, like you might not have the resources that year to do it, but it's worth asking. It really helped, I think, create a dynamic relationship that has advanced what we can do with Wayne and support him in all of the environments.
Thanks, Brandy.
Caitlin?
So I have used so many resources throughout APS. Starting with, of course, Daphne and Aaron are a fantastic resource, and it's so amazing that the county has invested in that coaching. So any parent who has not signed up to have a session with them, do yourself a favor and sign up with them. For me, it's been a lot of finding other partner teachers who are engaging in the same work. So Annie and I have many late night phone calls where we consult on each other's cases and provide feedback to each other. Sometimes we share kids. So I do a lot of that type of work. Same with my fantastic team at Wakefield, who is doing a lot of this learning process with me. My SLP is incredible, as is the SLP that I work with at Fleet, who Brittany, who was a AAC coach last year. So they provided a lot of resources for me. And a lot of it is engaging in the professional development that they have offered. And much of that is free online for everybody. So if you go to the resources section of the Parent Resource Center, the AAC page and the Parent Resource Center website, a lot of the professional development that we have been engaging with is actually linked there, and it's free and very easy to do. The Project Core, so Brandy mentioned Project Core, which totally has changed my teaching. It's a little bit in the introductory stage, but especially some of those academic modules, I've watched like 6, 7, 8, 9 times to really dig into what is it that they're trying to do as I reflect in my practice. And the Tar Heel Reader is also both fantastic in the resources it shares as to how to engage in some of that literacy instruction, as well as resources of books that use a lot of core vocabulary that are just a great way to find resources for kids about the things that they enjoy. I also follow a lot of people on social media. Honestly, it's just a great way to get new novel ideas. You have to be careful about how you vet it because not everybody is using best practices. So you have to, just like anytime we do anything on social media, we have to do it with a very critical eye, but it does give me some great ideas. And I also wanted to share this book, which is kind of becoming the APS AAC user Bible. So Comprehensive Literacy for All it's got really fantastic strategies for teaching literacy to some of our emerging communicators. Because just like LJ was saying, especially, AAC is going to be fantastic, but the best way to, And the best way to make sure that we're continuing to grow our communication, so the student communication, so that it is unlimited, is to build literacy skills. So that's really been another place where I've been really looking at some of those resources. And another really important resource is my students' families, because the best way to get progress is if they are using it at home, and to know how they're using it at home, what their interests are at home, how to connect them, and how that's working. So that partnership has been really vital in watching students demonstrate progress. So those are a couple of the resources that we've been using.
Thanks, Caitlin.
It's muted.
Definitely.
Thank you, Caitlin, for that. Thanks to Belinda and I don't know, I'm drawing a blank, and Caitlin for giving us a shout out. So we enjoy going out into the classrooms and, you know, working with teachers and supporting teachers as much as we can. And we also like, you know, debriefing and problem solving with teachers. And so please, if you're a teacher and you're on this call, please reach out to us, use us as much as you can. We really like being out in the schools. And so it's really important to know that you're not alone. You're not on an island by yourself. You have staff who are open and willing to come out and work with you and take some of that load off. So thanks for the shout out, guys. Brandy, I want to thank you for just mentioning, talking about the power of building relationships, right? And so like by formulating a relationship with your teacher, I think it's so cool that you were able to go to the PALS conference and learn more about AAC and everything surrounding AAC. That's pretty wonderful. Because we can't do it all by ourselves. We're not on an island, like we can't do it all at home and we can't do it all at school. It doesn't work unless everybody comes together and everyone's on that same page. So thank you again. And Caitlin, you talked about that as well in your building, just the power of like team building, coming together with other teachers and coming together with your SLP so that again, it's not one person doing one thing, but everyone's sort of like working on the same thing. And I think that once that happens, so it lessens the workload really. And it just makes work a little bit more enjoyable. And then resources, we certainly do have a lot more resources now and a lot more research related regarding best practices and whatnot. I know that things have changed a lot since, you know, I started working with my first AAC user 7 years ago. And so, you know, the more we know, the better we know, the better we do. And I see that Kathleen put a resource in the chat. It's a link for parent resources and whatnot. And the book that Caitlin mentioned is Comprehensive Literacy for All. And some of us within Arlington have started book clubs, really sort of like going into the chapters and really talking about them and talking about how we can start implementing some of those strategies. And so pretty exciting. The last question goes to LJ, Brandy, and Shavina. And this question says, what is some advice you might give to someone who is a new AAC communication partner? LJ, would you like to start us off?
I love this question. I would say one huge thing is pause time, pause time, pause time. Stop, wait, and use a real nice pause so that the person using AAC can say what they're trying to say. Just count a minute in your head, even if it feels awkward or like a long time. By not talking, you are empowering the AAC user to use their voice. A study by Hilary Mathis entitled The Effect of Pause Time Upon the Communicative Interactions of Young People Who Use AAC shows that when a communication partner provides pause time, the AAC user is more likely to claim their turn and respond with more words. The study suggests that providing a wait time both supports and promotes conversations with the AAC users. Movement or facial expressions are also forms of communication, so keep looking at your communication partner. This allows you to respond appropriately. The urge is to look away though when there's an uncomfortable silence. If you aren't making eye contact with your new friend, and let us say they had started wincing and pretending to be in pain at something you had said, you would want to pick up on that. Or sometimes it happens to me. When I'm working on typing a message, my device freezes. I tend to wave my arm to get somebody's attention.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, LJ. Yes, pause, right? Chill, and then attend to your communication partner. That's so important. LJ, I'm going to need you to send me the link to that research article when you get a minute. All right, Brandy.
So I'll share, and I've loved the theme from a lot of folks here about, we only know what we know. And as a parent, I think it's really easy to kind of be hard on yourself that like, we're not experts. We didn't, go to college for this. We're learning this as we go. And there's all these times where I'm like, oh, like we didn't do that. And then we introduced way into that, or he had access to this word or this phrase, and now he's like figured it out, and you kind of beat yourself up a little bit. So my advice is, don't have any guilt, and just continue to find the new opportunities to learn, connect with the school staff, connect with, don't be afraid to advocate for what you need too, because to be an effective communication partner, you have to be able to advocate for what you don't know, what you still like, this isn't making sense. And there's no shame in any of that, because most of this is really new, right? It's new technology, and it's new to us in our homes. And I'll share an example of where I had guilt, but it's just really optimistic. We had taken a lot of care to put our immediate family into the communication device, and teachers and school friends were in the communication device. But I was always thinking about fringe words, and like, we don't want to put too much stuff in there because it's supposed to be about core words. And then after, he's turning 12 next week. After 12 years, we put his grandparents in there. And the very first week we did that, we were at home. We had been there that weekend. Wayne likes to watch trains in Ashland, Virginia with my dad. And he literally sat at the kitchen table and said, "Wumpy, trains, love." And that's going to make me cry, because like that was in him all the time. And he just didn't have the words to share it. And so no guilt, no shame, but like keep on seeing what you can learn and how you can make the device work the best for your family.
Thank you, Brandy. Thanks for sharing that. Even those of us who have gone to college, we learned that we were doing it wrong, and we had to change some things too. So thank you for being vulnerable and just, sharing that it's okay to not to know all the answers. Thank you for that. Shavina.
Brandy took everything I was going to say. Everything I was going to say. There's a lot that I didn't know coming into this school year. I still don't feel like I've learned enough. And I started to feel guilty now that we're at the end of the year. I was like, I don't know if I had enough time. I didn't put up enough language in the classroom. I didn't teach the kids enough how to recognize his voice. I'm still feeling it now, that I just didn't do enough. And Brandy, thank you for saying that. Release the guilt. Go ask more questions, because we still have 6 more weeks of school left. I can still reach out to Daphne and Aaron, and we can actually have more meetings and learn more things. And just deep breath and just keep learning as much as you can.
We got you, girl.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool because I've heard a couple common themes today, like wait time, LJ sharing about, giving that the power in the pause, give your partner time. We talk about that a lot in our trainings, and then modeling, using the device, having that buy-in, using the device when you talk to your AAC users, they learn where the symbols are and how to use it. That total communication approach, looking at the body language and the gesture. LJ, you mentioning to keep looking at the person, even though it seems awkward when you're waiting on someone. You're right, that knee-jerk reaction is to kind of look away, but that's a really good point, and we're going to start including that in our training sessions when we talk about wait time. And one of the things that we Daphne and I say to parents and teachers, give yourselves grace. Give yourselves grace. Don't mom guilt, teacher guilt, parent guilt. It's reality. It's a real thing, and we have to kind of put the past behind us and be excited about what's coming in the future. And none of us are truly experts in this. We're all still learning. We're all still on the learning journey. Things change, new research comes out, and we just keep doing better because we know better and we have more information. So we really appreciate all of you being in this journey with us and working with us and having these conversations and discussions with us. Caitlin mentioned earlier, parents, please reach out. You can email me or Daphne to schedule a parent coaching session. We meet with families virtually, at your child's school, at SciFax, and it's really open-ended. We can talk about anything related to supporting your child's communication at home. So please reach out to us. And then we have some other resources that we want to talk about. Kathleen, were there any questions that popped up in the chat? I know we're getting close to time. That went by fast.
Yeah, I don't want this to end.
Anyone want to stick around for the after party? LJ does. All right. Did you see any questions pop up, Kathleen?
No, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay. Well, would one of our parents who coordinate the parent AAC group mind just sharing some information about that for families who might not be aware of that amazing resource? Tana or Jana, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I can definitely do that. Or if Tom and Cecilia want to do that. I actually wanted to do a shout out to LJ real quick. I don't know if everybody knows, but he was recently the guest speaker on the Talking with Tech AAC podcast from April 20th. And if you haven't heard it, you need to go listen to it. It's so good. TJ and I listened to it together and we were both, enthralled and so proud of LJ and just feel like we need to sing it from the mountaintops. So the more people that can tune in and hear it, I think it will, if we can encourage actually some of the APS staff to hear it, I think that would be really beneficial.
Thank you.
Yeah, April 20th. But yeah, I don't know, Tom, I see you're on here. Do you want to talk about the group? Because you've given us some new life to it, which is just awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. This panel was incredible and so inspiring from so many different fronts, especially I feel like from the teacher front to see how much you all care and are dedicated to working on this. Yes, I guess, just in addition to the supper clubs, we were also committed as parents to just trying to get together a couple times per year in person. And at some point, we also want to put together just a listserv for parents where you can fire out emails or questions or anything. I think for all of us, it's helpful. I know, especially for like new parents and new families to the AAC journey in the future, that we could be helping with things we know will be really great. So we do have if you want to be part of that, we have just an email you can send, and then we'll include you on any emails and other additional things that we're doing as well. And I think I should know it off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else knows it, but Kathleen can also share it with everyone.
I will find it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. And then, of course, the Parent Resource Center, the link, I think Kathleen, you put the link in the chat.
Yes, so we started adding resources last year. We have an AAC communications working group, and we started adding some great resources last year. I think most of APS is going to be revamping their websites. We're going to have a big website overhaul soon. We're thinking probably this summer. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to redesign our website. So please email me at prc@apsva.us, and I'll put that in the chat. If there are things you wish you could just quickly get your hands on, or features you'd like to see, please let me know. And also, if you'd be willing to review that page and help us build it, that would even be better. So, staff too, parents, staff, anybody who's interested. And it
Thanks.
looks like Tom has put the parent group email in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you especially to our amazing panel members for being here and answering questions and sharing with us. It was a great conversation, and we're really looking forward to continuing our supper club meetings next year. So be on the lookout for those in the upcoming year. And we hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for having dinner with us tonight.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you all.
I'm gonna put it.
Bye.
Sorry, I didn't realize that went just to me.
It's okay.
Well, I
That's
can
okay,
send it
Kathleen.
out.
We can share it out later.
All right, yeah, I'll send it to everybody who registered. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
All right, good night,
You're all
everybody. Stop this recording.